Madonna, größter weiblicher Pop-Superstar aller Zeiten. Bis heute hat sie 80 Millionen Alben und um die 70 Millionen Singles verkauft. Vor 12 Jahren schaffte die heute 37-Jährige mit Holiday ihren Durchbruch. Die nachfolgenden Singles Like a Virgin und Into the Groove prägten den pop-orientierten Dancefloor-Sound der 80er Jahre. Mit den Medien veranstaltet Madonna ein ständiges Spiel auf Gegenseitigkeit. Mal benutzt sie, mal wird sie benutzt.
You're talking about my hair. All right, what is that, a swim cap? What are you wearing?
Lange Zeit setzte die Popdiva ihr Image als Sexsymbol und Skandalfigur sehr bewusst ein. In letzter Zeit wirkt Madonna immer häufiger wie ein verletzlicher, einsamer Star, der sich nach Geborgenheit und Wärme sehnt. Mit perfekt produziertem, immer neu klingendem Sound und einer innovativen Clip-Ästhetik hat Madonna bisher unerreichte Maßstäbe gesetzt. Als Schauspielerin hatte sie nach dem ersten großen Kinofilm Susan verzweifelt gesucht, mit Eine Klasse für sich und Body of Evidence trotz hochgradiger Besetzung wenig Glück. Der große Erfolg blieb aus. Den konnte sie allerdings verbuchen, als sie kürzlich für die Titelrolle der Evita ausgesucht wurde. Ihre seltenen Live-Konzerte begeistern durch einen sehr hohen technischen Aufwand, gute Choreografien und nicht zuletzt durch Madonnas hervorragende tänzerische Qualitäten. Nach all den Jahren des Erfolgs ist für Madonna jetzt der Zeitpunkt gekommen, wo sie sich einen Mann und Kinder wünscht, um ihr Leben weiter ausfüllen zu können. Ausschließlich Superlative. Das sind die Mittel, um die Pop-Ikone Madonna zu beschreiben. Das Interview mit Heike in New York. Gleich im Hausbesuch.
Hallo, wie versprochen gibt es jetzt hier bei uns auf Viva 2 ein absolutes Highlight. In einem Exklusivinterview wird sich der amerikanische Superstar Madonna von einer ganz neuen Seite zeigen. Nicht kontrolliert und berechnend, sondern humorvoll und mit viel Charme. Die sehr persönlichen Antworten präsentieren eine sensible Persönlichkeit, wie sie bisher noch nicht zu sehen war. Also, eine Stunde lang Madonna von ihrer ganz privaten Seite.
You think that I can't live without your love. You'll see. You think I can't go on another day. You think I have nothing without you by my side. You'll see somehow, some way.
Okay, like I just told you, maybe the first questions are going to be a little boring because everybody's going to ask them.
I'll try not to fall asleep.
Yeah, don't, please. We have to send this material. Now, you now released a new album, Something to Remember, and it's got ballads on it, only ballads. 3 new songs, and the rest of it are songs from other albums. Why did you choose to do that? Why did you decide to do that?
You're right, this is the boring question.
Yes, but it's the first one. It's going to get better.
Because I happen to think that my ballads are my best songs, and it was something I'd wanted to do for a really long time. So I decided to put a collection of all my favorite songs together, and then with a few new songs. And I had done a song with Massive Attack for a Marvin Gaye tribute album, and then I'd done another version with an orchestra, and I thought it was really beautiful, and I had nothing to do with it. So it gave me an opportunity to put that on a record. And then I had also wanted to work with David Foster for a really long time, and he just happened to call me right around that time when I thought about doing it. I thought, you know what, let me try working with him. Maybe I can come up with some beautiful songs with him, and they turned out really good. So then I felt like I had a good collection of songs to put together.
And would you say that each new record that you release somehow reflects or mirrors something that's happening inside you?
Absolutely.
And so how could you connect those two things? Those ballads, this soft and maybe vulnerable side, and what's happening inside of you right now?
Well, a lot of those songs I wrote over the years, and they're, you know, there is that side of me, and I've always dealt with that side of me whenever I've written any of my ballads. So it's not that I've necessarily tapped into something new.
No, that's not what I thought. But now that you put them all together, maybe you're kind of fed up with showing the people a very strong woman, but also wanting to show a little softer side, something.
No, it's not so calculated.
No, it's not calculated, but maybe you feel that way right now.
But I've always felt this way.
Felt hurtable and...
Yes, strong and vulnerable.
Now you have those two videos that belong to each other, Take a Bow and You'll See. And why did you make a second sequence of it?
Well, when I wrote the song, I was thinking about it. When I wrote Take a Bow, I always envisioned what the story was. I saw it in my head while I was writing the song. And I write in a very cinematic way. So when I wrote You'll See, I thought, well, Take a Bow, even though I think it's really beautiful, is sort of the masochistic side of me, and being submissive to someone and being hurt by someone, whereas You'll See is like the other side of me, which is the empowering yourself side, and I felt like it was a story that wasn't complete. So when I was writing the song, I was envisioning the story along with it, like what happens after.
Although when you listen to You'll See, it sounds a little bit as if you were telling yourself, it doesn't matter to me, I'm going to be able to cope with it, but maybe it's not really true.
No, it's
true. She's
it's
over
true.
with it?
It's true, but it's not, oh, I'm not hurt, I can, you know, life goes on, and yes, it has hurt me, but I can survive. And that's just the way it is.
And the one that's left behind, or that left you behind, is the one that's going to be heard after all. That's what it says, maybe?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't make the decision for that person.
Yeah, it looks like that in the video, because that guy seems to be in the lower position then, after all.
Well, everything you do comes back to you.
Yeah. And then what about this Spanish thing in it? How do you feel about this Spanish thing? And, you look a little bit like... maybe already Evita in those two videos, without wanting to talk about the film right now. We're going to do that later. Is that something like a preparing for it?
No, because when I did the Take a Bow video, I wasn't doing the movie. The movie wasn't mine. I mean, I hadn't been offered the role yet. I've always dealt with, I think I must have been Latin in another life or something, because I've written a lot of songs that have like Spanish themes to them, and I always use Spanish guitar, and I'm very drawn to Latin things. So I don't really know, that's just an unexplainable influence.
But also the styling and everything, doesn't your hair, like you have it in those videos, that doesn't have anything to do with that figure? Maybe that already, before that you admired that woman or something, before you knew you were going to do the movie?
Well, I think I'm influenced by all kinds of things. When I did Take a Bow, I had no idea that I was doing Evita. I promise you that.
I believe you. I swear.
So.
And the influences in your music, on your new record, seem to be very European. Why is that?
Like, which songs are you talking about?
Yeah, for example, you working with Massive Attack, you working with Nelly Hooper, you working with Björk, which is Bedtime Stories, but still, it seems as if you were focusing on European music a little bit.
Well, the reason that I worked with Björk and Massive Attack is because of Nelly Hooper. I asked Nelly Hooper to work on my last record, and while I was working on it, he suggested that I work with Björk. And since I was always a fan of hers, I did. And then, while I was making my Bedtime Story record, the guys from Massive Attack would come by and hang out in the studio because they were friends with Nelly, and they say to me at the time, well, we'd love to work with you sometime in the future. So when the Marvin Gaye tribute album came up, Nelly called me and said, would you like to work with Massive Attack? And I said yes. It's all because of my friendship with Nelly. That's why.
Because it's so surprising that you, for me, you know, when I saw that now you're working with Massive Attack and with Björk and with Nelly Hooper, it seems so very much up to date, you know, like in Europe and also I think in America. I don't know how popular they are in America.
They're not as popular here as they are in Europe.
Yeah, in Europe they're very popular, and it seemed like, how did she just know that this is the right time to do it with those people? But then it's just coincidence?
Well, I listen to a lot of European music. I happen to be, I've always listened to Björk, I've always been a fan of hers, and I've always been a fan of Massive Attack, and a lot of the things that Nelly Hooper's done, which is why I wanted to work with him on my last album. So, but I tend to listen to, I'm not really into American music, not new American music anyways. I mean, I listen to old R&B, old soul, old blues records, jazz, but I listen to a lot of Latin music.
What is the music from right now? What is the new American music? What would you say? Don't you consider yourself a part of it?
No.
No?
No.
Standing somewhere
No, I always
above all that?
think of myself as an outsider.
And not belonging to the American culture at all. So I once heard that when you produced a song that Prince wrote, you never really sat together with him or talked to him about it. You just sent tapes back and forth.
Well, I talked to him all the time on the phone, and we met when we decided to work. When I went out to Minneapolis for a couple of days, and we got the original idea for the song, and then I couldn't stand staying there because it was too cold. So we went back
in
to Los
Minneapolis,
Angeles.
it's
Yes.
too cold.
So we would work on the master tape and send it back and forth to each other through the mail. That's how we finished it.
So in Iceland, it was too cold also? Because I heard that you didn't meet Björk either. What was
Well,
that
actually,
like?
she was on tour, and I was in Los Angeles, and I would have worked with her, but she was on the road all the time, and I could never get into the same spot she was at, so.
But sometime you met.
Yes.
There must have been a time where you met. But so it's not like that when I imagine you and Björk wrote a song together, or Björk wrote a song for you, that you two sit on a table and go, what do you think of this, and should we do it this way?
That.
And how can I imagine you working on a song that you write? What does that look like? Do you just need
I'm laying on the floor on my stomach, writing in my notebook.
And do you need a special mood so to be creative, or so that something comes up inside of you?
Yeah, I do, but I can't tell you what that is because all different moods inspire me. Something has to inspire me.
And is it that you
I need to be alone, that's for sure.
And you jump up at night and say, oh, now I've got it?
Sometimes, yeah.
And it's not like that you tell yourself sometimes, well, I have to write a new song, and you get up at 9 o'clock in the morning, sit down and...
I do that too.
So everything is possible. Everything about writing a song in any way, like when you sit in a car, or you sit in the bathtub.
Yeah.
There's not a special moment when you're most productive.
Usually right after someone breaks my heart, I'm terribly productive.
You think that pain and being sad is good for being creative? And when you're happy, you're not?
No, I am, but for me, pain is more inspiring.
But then
when I'm happy, I'm too busy being happy.
Yeah, but that's what I wanted to say. You're very creative, so you must be sad a lot of times. Or there must be a lot of people breaking your hearts when you write so many songs.
That's true.
Sorry. Well, yeah. What is it that makes a song a real Madonna song? If you, for example, take a Marvin Gaye song like I Want You, and then there's Massive Attack working on it, but still it's your song, and everybody would know it's your song. Besides your voice.
Well, that's what it is, really. It's the sound of my voice and the emotion in my voice that's mine and no one else's.
Is there a special style to the music? I mean, if the producer is sitting there, you'd maybe tell him also what to do? Or do you leave the producer alone and say, do whatever you want to do?
No, I work, and it's a total collaboration. But once again, there is no method. I interpret the song my own way. And, you know, I can't answer that question.
Oh. But in your music, you always have everything. I mean, I think you're best when you have everything under your control. What do you think? If you can decide how things work, so at the end, your product is very close to yourself.
It's not a question of being in control. It's a question of working with people who have the same ideas that I have, who are sympathetic to my ideas. I don't want to work with someone who just agrees with everything I do. I want to work with someone who has ideas that I'm interested in. So we collaborate on things together. And I'm the most happy when I feel that it is the closest to the truth or the closest to what I want to say. But very often, other people, Nelly Hooper influenced me with a lot of his ideas, and that's why I chose to work with him, because I like his style, I like his taste in things, I like the way he looks at life, and those are the kind of people that I want to work with.
Do you feel like you couldn't choose the right people for you to work with? Because I read somewhere that the thing that made you feel not too comfortable with some of your movies were that you couldn't have the product somehow under your control, that you could at the end say, well, this has something to do with me.
Well, when you're an actress or an actor in a film, you have very little to do with the outcome of the film. Your performance a director can take your performance and do anything he wants with it in the editing room. The difference between being an actress and writing a song and performing that song is that you are much more submissive as an actress. You have to, the person with the vision and the person with a real point of view is the director.
So you said that you should become a director soon. That's what I read that you said.
I would like to, eventually, yeah.
What is it that you had the feeling that the directors did to you and your acting in the movies?
Well, every movie is a different scenario. I mean, there's some movies I'm perfectly happy with the way they came out. In other movies, I feel that the director had a very misogynistic point of view and made my character stupid or weak or killed me in the end or whatever. But, I mean, every movie is a different story.
And which movie is the one that you're most proud of? Or which one do you like best?
Snake Eyes.
And you said sometimes then you're killed at the end, like, for example, in, what's the name of the movie in English? I don't know, unfortunately, with William Dafoe.
Oh, Body of Evidence.
Yeah, right. And isn't it like that, for example, if they tell you first in the script you're not going to die, and then suddenly they change everything, don't you have any influence on that?
No. I mean, I can throw a fit, but in the end, the director makes the decision.
If you look at how the press and the public received your movies, do you think that somehow they didn't give you the same chances that maybe a young actress from an actor school would get when she performs on her first film?
Yes, I agree with you.
Is it like that you had the feeling that your face is already occupied by something as they know you and that's how they want to see you?
Well, because I'm already successful in another area, they sort of don't give you a chance to grow and make mistakes. You're expected to be absolutely perfect in everything, and if you do anything less than perfect, they can't forgive you for it. You're judged with a whole different set of rules.
Because you were already popular
Successful.
before. And do you think that's in any country like that, or do you?
Yes, absolutely.
Not especially in America.
It's everywhere. Yeah.
And Yeah. Do you think that getting credits as an actress is more important to you than, for example, having another #1 hit
No,
record?
it's equally important.
How do you think that it works with two completely different careers, acting and making songs? Do you think that this can cross?
They're two different mediums, just like painting. It's all different. It's different art form. When you're acting, you're playing someone else. When you're singing, you're playing yourself. So it can't be compared.
What's easier for you, playing yourself or playing somebody else?
Well, they're both difficult, believe it or not.
Why is it difficult being yourself?
Because I think everybody has a hard time being who they are sometimes. It depends. I mean, sometimes you don't want, sometimes it's easier to hide behind a facade of something else than to actually be honest and completely who you are and totally open and emotionally naked.
But you always gave me, for example, the impression as if you would totally just do what you are and what you want to be.
Well, that is something that I believe in, but it's not something I'm always successful at.
You're trying to, but it doesn't always work.
Exactly.
And then you're also playing another role.
Sometimes.
And what was fascinating you with the role of Evita?
What fascinates me is just that the influence, the unbelievable influence and impact that she had on the world at that time, that she had so much political power, that she was a woman, that she came from nothing. She started out as a poor girl living out in the countryside, and that she was smart enough and clever enough to end up where she was. And she also was an incredibly controversial character, and there were as many people that hated her as there were that loved her, and I think she's mysterious.
Do you think that there are similarities to how you lived or what you experienced?
I don't think there's similarities as to how we lived, because I'm certainly not interested in marrying a dictator. But in terms of being misunderstood, yes. And in terms of dealing with people who are jealous of you, and people who are jealous of you and who are afraid of you, start sort of like slanderous propaganda about you, those kind of things I can certainly relate to.
Tell me a little bit about it, because I think...
Oh, do I have to?
If you want to, that would be nice if you would. You had a quite hard time dealing with the press maybe from a little while ago. You just said that you had the feeling people were jealous and they were writing bad things about you. Do you think that something changed in that way? Do you think that the acceptance changed?
Acceptance by whom?
Yeah, by the press, for example, of your work, of
well,
yourself.
first of all, the press has always given me a hard time since the very beginning of my career. But there was a period of time, and it's actually continued for a very long time, since the time that I published my sex book and my record Erotica came out. There have been a lot of incredibly angry and but transparent things said about me. Yes, from that time period. And there's been, in my opinion, an enormous amount of effort put out by an enormous amount of people to try to undermine my contribution as an artist and say that I'm not talented, that I can't sing, that I can't act, as a sort of way of to get me to go away, to get me to shut up, to punish me, basically, for being a bad girl. And
why do you think? What do you think they can't cope with what you're doing?
My honesty, my opinions about sexuality, the fact that I am a woman and that I have success, that I have money, that I have fame, and I have fortune, and that I do it on my own. I don't need a man in that respect. I think that frightens a lot of people.
But don't you think, well, this is just a very personal opinion of mine, that I had the feeling that in the last 2 years, or maybe since Bedtime Stories, suddenly lots of people woke up and said, wow, she's doing great stuff, look at her. I mean, lots of friends of mine, and maybe this is not a complete range of people that I can quote, but they suddenly started looking at you differently.
Because they saw me as a survivor.
Maybe. Don't you think that the press sees you as a survivor now and now honors it somehow?
Yes, they've said to themselves, oh, we can't destroy her. Well, maybe we better think twice about it or something, yeah. And
all those bad things that you read about yourself, did they ever hurt you? Or don't they?
Absolutely. Yes.
Although you have the feeling it's not true, why can't you keep it away from you?
What hurts me is not whether it may be true or not. What hurts me is that so many people seem to get so much enjoyment out of hurting other people.
Yeah, but wouldn't you have seen that also when it wasn't in such a big thing, maybe just living in a little city, in a little village, and people hurting each other all the time? Didn't you experience that before?
Yes, but when you do it in an international, global way, when every time you turn on the television, or you read a magazine, or you open up a book, something is said about you, it's hard to put things in perspective.
Is that maybe now, since you released Bedtime Stories, this whole sex thing where you edged on everywhere, you know, and had a hard time, went a little bit in the background. Could you say that?
What went in the background?
Yeah, I think that your videos and the songs that you released were not as aggressive for the public, maybe you could say that, for the public that can't cope with that honesty, like you just said. Is that you say, I give up?
Oh, I haven't given up.
I don't imagine, but I just wanted to ask you why, you know, when you just look at you as an image, everything became a little bit more, well, you're not playing with that sex thing anymore that much, I think.
Well, I am, but I'm doing it in a much subtler way.
Do you think that's better, just not to give them such a big...
I don't think it's better. It's just what I'm doing right now.
And why?
Because I want to.
I was waiting for that answer. People told me about it. As you say that maybe some outlooks on you in the press were not right. Do you think that if you put them all together, all the little pieces that people wrote about you, no matter if good or bad, do you think that those bring out the real you then, if you put them all together, or is there still something missing?
Yes, because none of those people that write about me really know me. So if you want to know me, you can't read about me, you have to know me.
But then, actually, one could think that you didn't give the people such a hard time to know you because you expressed everything very freely.
Yes, but I expressed myself, but one can never express their ideas completely in one interview. And you have to understand that my words are then taken and reinterpreted to other people through the mind of the writer who's writing about me or the newscaster who's reporting on me. It's not a completely honest it's not a completely honest transference of ideas, and things get, it's like if I told you a secret in your ear and then you turned to that guy and you told a secret in his ear and then she turned and it went around the room, by the time it got out to that person it would be a completely different idea. You see, and that's what happens with people who are famous or in the public eye. Everything is misunderstood and reinterpreted, and so it's never exactly what you want to say.
And is there any way how to go around that for you?
No, there is no way. Fame is a form of misunderstanding.
And do you sometimes then suffer because of your fame? Do you say...
Absolutely, because people come up to you on the street and they think they know you and they don't.
And so sometimes you think that things should have gone different in your life?
Should have gone different?
Yeah. Maybe you hope they would have gone different?
Well, yeah, sometimes, but this is the career that I've chosen for myself, so I have to accept that this goes with it.
Yeah, but, I mean, you made a lot of decisions on your way. when you look back on them, do you think all the decisions were right? Or do you think that...
They were all decisions that I was meant to make, yes.
Because that's also something I was wondering personally, because I always read about you saying, well, I'm just doing what I want to do. Mm-hmm. But I was always wondering, because I would like to do that too, you know, just always do what I want to do. And I have the feeling I do that, but then sometimes I don't know what I want to do. How do you get that security?
You don't. You just keep trying things. Maybe it's not something you want, but you have to, if you have an idea, if you have a fantasy, if you have a dream, if you have something you want to pursue, you have to do it.
And you never came to crossroads where you said, oh, I don't know which way to go now. I would like to go the way I want to, but I don't know which.
No.
What, is that something inside your stomach that tells you, yes?
No, it's something inside my heart.
Yeah, or heart, maybe. And then you just go
It's just
for it.
instinct.
And do you think that you, or on what do you think you missed out on because of your career? Is there anything?
Privacy. A little bit more privacy.
Do you think that maybe you concentrated too much on that one part? If there's two parts, love and relationships and privacy and friendships, and on the other side there's career and
No, I've
going
always...
through tough things. And do you think that you maybe put too much energy in that one field and lost the other one?
Sometimes, yeah. As far as relationships go, yeah, I think so. But I think there's a time and a place for everything. I think everyone goes through a period of time where they focus more on their career and finding out who they are in the world and experimenting. You have to travel all the time. And then you get to another stage in your life and you want to concentrate on other things. And I think it's just a cycle, it's a thing. You just go through it. And that's what I've done.
At what stage are you right now then?
Well, I've never said one or the other. I've never only been interested in my career. I've always had boyfriends. I've always been in a relationship. And I have never been at a point where I've only concentrated on my relationship and forgotten about my career. I can't.
But don't you think that maybe something that was really something you wanted to keep maybe broke apart because of outer circumstances?
Yeah, sometimes.
Like, for example, what? Or how? How did the outer circumstances
Well, sometimes when, you know, you say you're having a problem in your relationship, but say you have to go on the road for 6 months, it's really hard to deal with things when you have to do shows every night. And sometimes rather than, you know, deal with it because it requires a lot of effort, you let things go because at that time in your life you just can't go there.
Do those friends or relationships understand?
Never my friends. My friends always understand.
They say, we can understand your life, although they've never been in a life like that?
Well, the handful of friends that I have understand my life.
Did you have to explain that to them?
Well, they have to be around me. They've been around. They've seen what I go through. They see how I suffer. They see how I've misquoted. They know. They'll be with me in one part of the country and then we'll read in the newspaper that I'm somewhere else, and they see how insane it is. They're incredibly supportive and sympathetic. And to me, a friend is a person who, if you don't call them for a couple of weeks, they don't get angry at you because they know you're busy. And then when you do speak to them, it's good. Everything's good. It's unconditional love. And I've always had friends like that through the years.
And in a relationship, you can't have a person be so selfless, you think?
Well, it depends on the person. If you get involved with someone who's immature or insecure about who they are, then of course my life and my lifestyle is going to be a little bit threatening to them, and I have done that. Whereas other people are more secure, and it's easier for them to deal with my career.
Those friends of yours that accompanied you the whole time, are those friends that you have since like 10 years?
Yeah.
Do there ever new friends come into your...
Yeah.
How do you find out how a person is, if somebody's a good character or if somebody just wants to be part of your...
Spend time with them. That's the only way. That's the only way you can have a relationship with anybody, too. You've got to spend time. It takes time to know someone.
So you give everybody a chance that would come your way?
No, I don't give everybody a chance. I give people chances that I think you know, see life the way I see it, or I see some sort of understanding in their eye or something, the way you choose friends. How do you know when you want to be friends with someone?
Yeah, well, I spend time with them, that's true. But then on the other side, I thought that maybe being in a position like you are, you have to have a technique to select, maybe.
No. A lot of the people that I end up becoming friends with are people who are introduced to me through other friends. So since they're introduced to me through other people I already trust, it's easier for me to trust them.
If you look at people that are maybe in the same stage of popularity as you are, if you could maybe say Prince or Michael Jackson, I mean, maybe you don't consider them there, but they live very strange lives. I mean, they pulled themselves back out of society completely, and they don't seem to be human people anymore. Why do you think that they live that way?
I don't know. I can't speak for them.
Yeah, but I thought maybe, as you don't live like that, I think, maybe you came to a point where it was close to that. Or maybe you came to a point where you thought, oh, I can understand why they...
Yeah, I can certainly understand why they feel the need to protect themselves and hide, but I love being around people. I don't want to hide. I've never been that kind of a person. I like doing normal things. I like going for walks. I like riding my bike. I like being out there in the world. I don't want to cut myself off from the world because that's what inspires me.
But is that always easy?
No, it's a challenge, but, you know, I can deal with it.
For example, if you go with your bike for a ride, how can I imagine that? I mean, is there a crowd of people running behind you?
No, not so much in America. In Los Angeles, I go for bike rides all the time. Nobody bothers me.
Where is it worse?
In Europe, it's worse.
Really?
New York is kind of crazy. In big cities, it's crazy. But places that are more in the country and far away from the city, it's much easier.
When you talk about America and Europe, I was thinking before that America actually is much more conservative than Europe is. What do you think?
I used to think that, but I think Europe's getting really conservative too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But then again, I mean, maybe that doesn't show how liberal a country is, but for example, if you would say fuck right now, you know, like 100 times, I guess nobody would care because, I mean, we wouldn't cut it out, you know, because everybody says that on the street, so why not saying it on television? Don't you think that this mirrors somehow another attitude towards those things?
Well, in that respect, then Europeans, I would say, are less hypocritical that way.
Yeah, that's what I meant. There's a double moral thing in America.
Yeah.
But would it at all challenge you to say fuck if they don't cut it out?
No.
So what is the reason then why you want to challenge the society, or what is the reason why
I'm not
you're doing
interested in challenging people who, I mean, it's like, that's like preaching to the converted. I mean, the reason that I would go on television in America and say fuck is to show the hypocrisy in America and show how ridiculous it is, because everybody and their brother uses that word, and it really doesn't have anything to do with sexual intercourse. It's like an expression of joy, love, shock. I mean, it means so many things, and it's ludicrous to not be able to say it and have it bleeped out. It's the same for shit. You know, you're not allowed to say shit, you're not allowed to say fuck, you're not allowed to say... And meanwhile, everybody says it in everyday life. So I feel inspired to, you know, push those buttons because I want to show how ludicrous it is. But, you know, I don't just go around saying those words.
No, that's what I thought. But do you think that over the years, I mean, of course, things change not because of one person like you, but do you think that you pathened away? Can you say that? Pathened away?
Made a path?
Yeah, made a path.
Yeah.
I
mean, maybe things don't change because of me, but maybe it opens people's mind up a little bit, and then the next person after me has a little bit easier time, and then the next person after that, yeah.
That's what I wanted to say. If you would start with the same things you did 12 years ago, do you think today it would, how would it be today? Nobody would care? Everybody would go, oh, yes, go ahead. Let's just...
Oh, you mean if I did what I did 12 years ago now, people wouldn't care? Yeah, truly.
And are there young female musicians or artists that thank you for that?
No. No.
Should they, though?
Yes, they should.
And do you have the feeling that they...
Are ungrateful? Yes.
Yeah, yes? Like who? Who's ungrateful? What
Well,
did they say?
know, I think it's hard for people, you know, I think most people who are starting off in the business don't want to say that someone else influenced them or you know, forged the way for them. I think people want to say, you know, I did this on my own, and, you know, but there's always someone before you that...
Who was before you then?
Debbie Harry. I mean, that's the only person I can think of. I mean, there were other artists that were, you know, coming up before me, I would say, that inspired me, like Chrissie Hynde from the Pretenders. I mean, there are people that were already doing well before me, and I looked at them and I said, oh, they're strong women and they're doing what they want, and that was inspiring to me.
Were there other artists than music artists that inspired you? Or do inspire you?
Now, you mean?
Yeah. I mean, where do you get your inputs from? Because I read that that you have, for example, Picasso drawings on your wall and paintings. Sorry, or for example, you like Frida Kahlo and you like Anne Sexton.
Yes.
And so, does that inspire you?
Yes, absolutely.
In which way?
In which way?
Yes.
It inspires me. I mean, Frida Kahlo was an amazing woman, and her life inspires me, the things that she had to overcome to be the artist that she was. Her work inspires me. The feelings that it makes you feel. I mean, it's the same as, you know, going to see, you know, the Sistine Chapel. I mean, you look up at that ceiling and you feel inspired by it. Because one human being can do something so great and so moving.
But especially Frida Kahlo and Sexton were such sad people somehow. I mean, they had such hard times and were quite depressive and close to death with their thoughts. And why is that something that's close to you also?
Well, I can only say that I can relate to a lot of their pain and their sadness. I certainly don't feel suicidal, and in fact, Frida Kahlo and Sexton committed suicide, but Frida Kahlo died because she was very ill, and she actually was a survivor, and, you know, suffered, you know, a horrible accident when she was a teenager, and suffered physical illnesses and being crippled and having all kinds of things wrong with her. She managed to stay productive and creative in spite of being crippled, in spite of the pain that she was going through, and that is very inspiring.
People say, I mean, that's me and my friends, that's always the people that I know that say something to me, say that you become more and more beautiful each year.
Really?
And, yes. I mean, I've been looking through books now on the flight, and of course I knew you before also, but I looked through books and had this comparison, and I think that you became much more beautiful. And do you think so too?
I think I probably just started working with better makeup and hair people and better photographers.
Yeah, but
well, as you go through life, you start to know what looks good, what doesn't look good, what's more flattering, and you develop a sense of style. I mean, that's normal.
Yeah, true. And
I mean, if you look at a picture of yourself when you were in high school, don't you just go, ugh, I cannot believe my hair looks so stupid, and I mean, you know things as you get older.
Is that how you feel when you look at pictures?
Yes.
You think, oh my
no,
God,
I tell my father when I come home for the holidays, he has to take all of my pictures off the wall from high school. It's because they're just so ugly.
Yeah, but maybe it's also, I don't want to make it all psychological or anything, but maybe also if you have more inner security, then maybe it pours out of you.
Possibly, yeah, of course.
Yeah, do you feel like that? Do you feel stronger? And tell me how you feel, because I don't always want to say it and you say yes because we want you to say that. Is that how you feel about yourself right now?
I think I'm certainly wiser than I used to be. I think I have a better understanding of life, and I think I've realized over the years that I cannot, that my own happiness, that I can't look outside of myself for happiness, that it's inside of me. So that probably gives me more of a sense of peace.
And calmness. Do you think, and that's one thing I wanted to talk to you about at the end, maybe. Do you think that when you get to that point that you feel very one-to-one with yourself and quite peaceful and calm in yourself, that it's time, for example, to give that to a little one, a little child or something? I mean, I heard you talking about you would really like to have a child. Is that one of your wishes? And is that going to happen soon then?
Well, not probably in the next 5 or 10 minutes, but...
Oh, I don't think so, no.
Yes, well, I have to make a movie first. But
Do you have the right man already? I mean, I don't want to be too personal, but is there don't you need a husband also to...
yeah, well, I don't need a husband, but I do need a man.
That's important. You're not one of those women that say, well, I'll have somebody make me a child and I'll raise it myself.
No, I'd rather have everybody together.
Family.
It's important to me, yeah.
Would you raise... How would you raise your kid? Would you do... What did you miss when you were young that you would want the kid to have better?
Well, I didn't have a mother.
Yeah.
So what I would do is be the mother that I never had.
Would you be able, with your life, to be a mother for the child? Or...
Yes, I mean, I suppose my life would have to change to a certain extent. But I look forward to that.
You would sacrifice some things for that then?
Yes.
Good. Can I still ask questions? Okay. Okay. I was quite nervous. Now I'm not as nervous anymore, and I think you're very nice also. And now a lot of German kids watch what you're saying right here. And I mean, I don't know if it's easy. I never like to say my message is this and this and this, but is there something maybe that you want to give to them before you go, before I go, we go?
Give to whom?
Yeah, to you, to my viewers, to the ones, to your viewers right now in Germany.
Well, I would hope that in the course of our interview, the questions that I've asked and the point of view that I've given you and my philosophy in life has come out to a certain extent, and that is what I would like to give to whoever's watching it. You know, I think, you know, believing in yourself, and following your dreams. I think all those things, I talk about those things all the time. I still think they're really important.
Yeah, I think they came out with what you answered. Was it now very boring, or was it okay?
What, the interview?
Yes.
Yeah, it was okay.
It was okay?
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
You think that I can't live without your love. You'll see. You think I can't go on another day. You think I